Hi, I'm Kat, and today I have for you a true crime case, a word in Romanian, and I will also be doing my makeup at the same time. And the word in Romanian for today is Marina Regală. Marina Regală. Ma-ri-na Regală. Well done, guys, you just said Royal Navy. Allan Grimson served 22 years in Britain's Royal Navy, having joined in 1978, rising to the rank of petty officer. Although on the outside he seemed an upstanding Royal Navy officer, he had a sadistic side which led him to commit atrocious crimes, a psychiatrist even describing him as the most psychologically complex killer he ever dealt with. Allan Michael Grimson, born on 5th of October 1958 or 1959, was born in Suffolk to his mother Margaret and his soldier father Michael. He is the third of 4 children. Allan is a large and strong man with an imposing appearance. He is not handsome, and his colleagues in the Navy called him Frank. Because of his wide forehead, they said it made him look like Frankenstein's monster. That's how he got the nickname the Frankenstein Killer. I personally don't agree with that, and I find it quite uncomfortable pointing it out. Granted, his colleagues might have given him this nickname as a joke, but I feel like it's more of a bullying rather than a joke, giving someone a nickname because of their appearance. Anyway, this is, just my view. He's also been known as Royal Navy's Dennis Nilsen. Allan served in the Navy aboard HMS Illustrious, and he was a trainer in firefighting techniques whilst based at HMNB Portsmouth. Allan is homosexual, and he was even when he was still in the Navy. Although today there are no restrictions in the UK Armed Forces anymore, there were at the time Allan served, so he kept his sexual orientation hidden, otherwise he would have been dismissed from the Navy. Allan admitted being gay in December 1999, 1 month before the rule change came into force. By that point, his sexuality was no longer an issue for him because he was already facing murder charges. Among other postings, he served on board of HMS Illustrious, the aircraft carrier. He was also an instructor at HMS Excellent, the Navy firefighting school in Portsmouth, England. Later on, when he was questioned by police, he rightly admitted that he watched the group of trainees who went through his courses at the Navy School for young men who could be his potential victims. Allan's first known victim was 18 years old Nicholas Wright, who was also in the Royal Navy. They met on a firefighting course run by the Royal Navy in November 1997. When Nicholas was on shore leave from HMS Edinburgh in December 1997, he was seen out drinking with Allan. Witnesses saw both of them living together from a nightclub in Portsmouth. Allan had offered to give Nicholas a lift home to Leicester on the weekends, as Allan would be going past that way on his way home. It seems that Allan had done this before. Nicholas got quite concerned about this, and so he asked his family if, they thought this was suspicious. His family told him to be careful. However, Allan and Nicholas were seen on a few occasions to be socializing together. In December 1997, Allan and Nicholas went back to Allan's home after leaving a Portsmouth nightclub together. Allan said he was touching and trying to kiss Nicholas, and when he was rejected, Allan became angry, so he punched Nicholas before hitting him with a baseball bat. Allan later said, quote, "I just lost it. I hit him really hard with a baseball bat, several blows to the head, cut his throat with a carving knife, and threw him in the bath. It was such a feeling. I have never had that feeling. It was a feeling of power, a good feeling," end of quote. He said it was better than sex. Allan then carried out a sex act on the body before he took a shower and went to bed. The next day, he wrapped the body of Nicholas in black bin liners and got it into his car. He drove around 25 miles to the village of Cheriton, away from the port, and found a spot where he could unload the body and hide it in a hedgerow. Allan was actually questioned by the military police in 1997 about this, but he lied, and he actually managed to keep himself out of the investigation. Allan got away with his crimes for at least 13 years. In October 1999, police received a tip-off. This is when they really start looking into Allan. He was questioned before, of course, but like I said, he managed to get out of trouble. It turns out that someone believed Allan was grooming another victim in 1999, so they decided to come forward. Although some information was actually never made public, it seems that a few people in the Navy actually knew that Allan was gay, but most importantly that he was a predator. Even though by this point they wouldn't be dismissed because of the upcoming rule change, people, were still scared that they might lose their job, so they kept quiet until the tip-off was given to the police. Even though British government outlawed homosexuality in the British Armed Forces until the year 2000, there were gay and bisexual men and women serving. More often than not, some colleagues knew, but it was kind of tolerated and at times even ignored. Allan, in fact, didn't try very hard to hide his sexuality, although, according to his colleagues, you wouldn't be able to tell that he is gay. Some of them knew that he went to gay clubs and pubs. Whilst Allan was interviewed by police in December 1999, he accepted killing Nicholas. He admitted that he got a thrill from killing him. He said that the thrill came from the power he had over the young man without any sexual element to it. But he did say that the feeling was better than an orgasm. His second victim was 20-year-old Sean Jenkins, who was killed 1 year later in December 1998. Sean was from Newbury, having only been in the Royal Navy for a brief time. He was working as a barman in the Hog's Head pub in Portsmouth and met Allan in a nightclub called Joanna's in the town. Allan was drinking in the Hog's Head pub when he spotted a barman there who he later told police was good looking and vulnerable. So Allan decided to take him home. That barman was Sean. Meeting him again outside the nightclub nearby, they both went back to Allan's apartment. Allan tried to initiate sex. Sean actually tried to resist, but Allan was stronger than he was. He punched him and threatened him, so Sean was forced to have sex. In the morning, Sean said he wants to leave, but Allan was really looking for the same feeling he had when he killed Nicholas the previous year. So he bound Sean to the bath, tortured but still alive. When Allan came home again later in the day, he beat Sean to death with a baseball bat. Allan later told police that he didn't find his actions as satisfying as the murder of Nicholas because he didn't feel that Sean had resisted enough. Just like with Nicholas, Sean's body was loaded into the car and driven a similar distance into the Hampshire countryside before being dumped next to the A32 road at West Disted. Police looked into Nicholas Wright's disappearance and one name kept coming up as someone they should approach. Allan Grimson was called in for questioning. Very quickly he admitted to the murder of Nicholas Wright. After more questioning, he also admitted to the murder of Sean Jenkins. By this point, their bodies had not been discovered. Allan led police to where he discarded of the bodies. Allan Grimson was convicted in 2001 of killing Nicholas Wright and Sean Jenkins, and the judge recommended that he serve a minimum of 22 years, but also that he should never be released. This sentence was increased to 25 years by the then Home Secretary. In 2008, Allan won a reduction in his life sentence by 3 years. This was to reflect the time he spent on remand. The review noted his guilty plea, the time spent on remand, and also his personality disorder. After assessments by psychologists, opinion was actually divided on Allan's mental health. While it was generally believed that he was responsible for his actions, one psychologist labeled him as being the worst psychopath that he had come across in 250 murderers. 3 doctors actually examined Allan Grimson before the trial, and whilst the 3 were not unanimous, the general result was that he was responsible for his actions and he was fit to be tried. At the trial, Mr. Justice Cresswell told Allan Grimson, "You are a serial killer in nature, if not in number. You are a highly dangerous serial killer who killed 2 young men in horrifying circumstances." Anthony Don, King's Counsel prosecuting at Winchester Crown Court, read out how Allan described his feelings after killing Nicholas Wright. In a police interview, Allan said he punched the air in triumph and also gave out a roar after hitting Nicholas with a baseball bat, slitting his throat and slicing off his ear. He had told officers, "It was a feeling of power, a good feeling. I felt good about it. It was better than sex, that feeling, better than an orgasm." The prosecutor explained that Allan gave his phone number to Nicholas to see if he wanted a lift back home to Leicester. Later that month, Allan told a Navy friend, Peter Green, about Allan's proposition, and Peter called him a poof in Joanna's nightclub. There was actually, a scuffle between the two of them, resulting in a Navy police investigation on Allan, to which Nicholas actually gave a statement. But on 12th of December 1997, Peter said he saw Nicholas talking to Allan, which he believed was strange, but the teenager seemed happy. Allan explained that the killing was not sexual, but it was actually one of control and power. When he wrapped up the body of Nicholas while naked, he felt a tingling sensation. The killing was followed by a second sensation of achievement. He told police he felt that he needed an audience and he wanted to show them he did it. Allan was interviewed for 4 days from December 1999 at Alton Police Station in Hampshire. According to prosecutors, officers had asked Allan if he killed again, and he said yes. It was Sean Jenkins. Again, just like with Nicholas, they caught a taxi to his flat. Allan told Sean it was time, but Sean said no. Allan got angry and told Sean if he did not have sex with him, he would hurt him and punched him. They then had sex. In the morning, Sean said that he wanted to leave. Allan said that he wanted the same feeling he experienced killing Nicholas. He bound Sean in the bath and put a towel over his head to avoid the mess of the previous killing. He picked up the baseball bat and took some practice swings before he landed a sickening thud on the head of Sean. He landed 6 more blows on his head, killing him. But Allan said he didn't get the same thrill out of killing Sean. Because Allan Grimson had killed his 2 victims on December the 12th, just 1 year apart, detectives believe that there may be more victims not identified yet. Immediately after his conviction in April 2001, Gibraltar police were investigating a possible link between these offenses and a missing persons inquiry that they still had unresolved. A sailor called Simon Parks, aged 18, had been serving on HMS Illustrious, the Royal Navy aircraft carrier and flagship which stopped at Gibraltar 15 years earlier. in 1986 on her way home from a Far East deployment. Gibraltar was the last stop before reaching the home port of Portsmouth. Allan and Simon both served on HMS Illustrious at that time, and witnesses actually placed the two together on the night that Simon disappeared. Simon had disappeared, but he didn't take anything with him. His passport and his possessions were still aboard the ship. The Christmas presents that he was taking home to his family were still on board. He had been in touch with his family and he was actually quite excited to see them and his girlfriend soon. Nothing really seemed wrong. The shipmates last saw him on December the 12th. UK police have flown over to Gibraltar and actually used sniffer dogs and searched the sewers, trying to discover Simon's body. In 2005, the BBC broadcast two programs, The Search for Simon Parkes and October's edition of Crime Watch, which prompted Allan to complain through his solicitor to Ofcom. Allan complained that he was unfairly treated in comparison to other suspects and he denied killing Simon Parkes, but that was not mentioned in the program. He also said he wasn't given enough notice by the BBC to respond to the claims in the two programs, and the police evidence used had no bearing on the case. Ofcom didn't really uphold either one of those complaints. And I must say that, he very quickly admitted to killing Simon and to killing Sean and Nicholas. So if indeed he killed Simon, why wouldn't he just admit it? The Gibraltarian police said, depending on what came to light, they might travel to the United Kingdom to interview Allan Grimson. The investigation tracked the movements of Simon on December 12, 1986. Other crew members saw him leaving one bar on his way to get food, and then someone matching his description was seen apparently drunk at a naval function nearby a bit later. No one has seen him alive again since. After initially thinking he might have just gone absent without leave, authorities concluded that Simon might have been a victim of criminal violence. Allan Grimson was asked quite a few times to talk about Simon Parkes and tell authorities what he knew. It worked, it seems, because Allan decided to speak. He admitted killing Simon and burying his body in Gibraltar. Whilst he drew maps of the location, he consistently refused to give police a specific spot and they were not able to find it. Police are worried that Allan might be playing mind games with them. Allan made some vague references to other bodies the authorities had yet to find in the same location, Trafalgar Cemetery. Police eventually found human remains, but they confirmed these bones were not Simon Parkes. A police source believed there could be between 11 to 20 other victims, maybe all over the world. The police source said Grimson frequented gay bars wherever he went, and it is likely he killed other young men. In 2019, it was reported that Allan Grimson was being held in an open prison in preparation for a possible release. In September 2020, police were digging again in Gibraltar. They found remains of two bodies when they removed 80 tons of earth in their search for Simon Parkes, but they were not successful in finding Simon's remains. Police Operation Thornhill examined the disappearance of other young men at ports around the world where Allan Grimson went ashore while serving on HMS Illustrious and HMS Edinburgh. An unresolved case at the US base of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean raised suspicions for the authorities. A US Marine went missing at the same time that the ship Allan was on was in port. In 1998, Allan was on an exchange training working with the Royal New Zealand Navy on a program of firefighting training. While there, a 29-year-old female Japanese immigrant, Kayo Matsuzawa, was found dead and hidden in a fire alarm cupboard in a stairwell of a building in Auckland to which Allan had access. He was one of the suspects, but police couldn't prove anything. Police reinvestigated the murder of Kayo after the court convicted Allan, but with no result. They also said that Allan's victims were all male. In UK, police found out that Allan had a season ticket for the English soccer team Manchester United and travelled the country to where the club was playing away games. A colleague who knew Allan said that Allan wasn't actually attending the games and he could have used the games as a cover for something else. In October 2022, the parole board confirmed that Allan Grimson, having served his minimum term of imprisonment, would have an oral parole hearing to determine whether he would be released. Up until now, this point, October 2023, I still couldn't find anything at all about the result of his hearing, nothing whatsoever. So I don't know if his parole was granted or if they refused. I have no idea. I couldn't find any information. 76-year-old Margaret Parks, the mother of Simon Parks, voiced her opposition to the possible release, stating, "I wouldn't want him to be out. I think he's a dangerous person. How can someone with that mentality change? We hope the truth about Simon's death will come out before we go to our graves. If he is a decent human being and has an ounce of compassion left in his body, Grimson will do the right thing. But unfortunately, I don't think he's that type of character." Kim Kaplan, even now, can't believe that Allan, the best man on her wedding day, was capable of killing. She said that nothing she saw about him would make her think he is capable of something like this. Kim met Allan when he was based in Portsmouth, working with her boyfriend in the Navy. They became good friends, so much so that he was the best man on her wedding day. Allan always talked with everyone, especially Kim's mom, and her mom actually believed he was lovely. Kim never found him to be a bully or to show any kind of violence. She said she feels sad, and obviously she feels sad for the people who were killed and for their parents, but also about a man who she knew to be a lovely person turning out like he did. The parents of Simon Parks, Margaret and her husband David, both 80 years old, endured even more heartbreak in 2000 when their eldest son Derek died of a brain aneurysm. The couple, who live in Bristol, have been in Gibraltar planting a tree in memory of their son. Sadly, I couldn't really find a lot of information about the victims or the families, so I am really sorry about that. I feel like most of this video is focused more on the killer rather than the victims. If you guys know more about Nicholas, Sean and Simon than what I mentioned in this video, please do write everything you know in the comment section down below, and at least we can, together if possible, highlight more of the victims' lives. For now, thank you so much for staying with me. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!